What is going on YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you another locals match. Now this is going to be between the purple based Cherubimon versus the yellow based Cherubimon, so a little bit of a mirror match but very distinct differences between the two decks. I also want to apologize if I do sound a little bit nasally in this video because I am getting over a little bit of a cold, but wanted to go ahead and get you guys an upload today since I did take a couple days off. So starting off, we saw the player on the right start with a Koichi, get a draw, and ditched one of their Cherubis, and then on the other end, they're going to play a Ladramon, get a little bit of cycle going, and they got a Gabumon in the back, so they're having a little bit more progression than the other player did. Not having a rookie in the raising and only playing the Koichi isn't much progression for the first turn, and that allowed the other player to get a rookie on board while also getting the Eismon and raising, not getting the scatter mode, just having the regular Eismon, so not going to be able to try and potentially go for big draw and discard turns next turn, but you still have the Gabumon and the Demimeramon, which can allow you to get some more cycle. Now, building up into the Rebellion, that's another card that is going to be a little bit different between the two decks. I believe the yellow base is playing the Rebellion, but the purple base is not. They are going to be playing things like the Antilamon as well as the Neo Devimon, but scatter mode's going to come out here, not going to go down, going to hit a Koichi, so going to be able to draw and discard one, discarding another Cherubimon once again, so must have multiple in hand and still have one in there, or they have a mat in hand that they're planning to use to grab it back. And the Eismon scatter mode not going down is always pretty big because you want to have that draw discard, the ability to potentially drop down some Eismons to get them out for free, but they do swing in with their regular Eismon. It is going to go down, so they do get some draw discard with the Gabu and the Demimera there. Going to put a Lucamon and a Koichi in the trash. They are playing the Antilamon, so they can play Tamers from the trash, so trashing them isn't going to be that big of a deal. And then the Lucamon is one of their main targets to be hit with the Cherubimon. Now, they aren't playing the yellow base. They do have the purple eggs, as to where on the right side we do have the full yellow base with things like Salamon and the Bushi Agumon, but the Lucamon is still a very strong card to have, especially since the deck on the left is playing 4 of Dead or Alive with the regular Lucamon and the Chaos mode. We'll see here what the player on the right wants to do here. They could go into Cherubimon, which they are going to do. We did see them ditch a couple Cherubimon, guessing that they did have one in hand. The only downside to playing this is that the Eismon scatter mode is going to go down, and as we see, you get punished by being able to play 2 Eismons out, which are not going to have summoning sickness because they came out on your opponent's turn, and passing over to 3, so that's a lot of pressure. They can go ahead and just swing those 2 attacks in if they want to, or they can Digivolve on top. We are going to see the Lady Devimon come out, going to be able to get some more draw and discard going. Looks like we're going to pitch one of each Lucamon. Now, if the player on the left does go into Cherubimon, they do have a couple of the level 3 Lucamon in their trash, so they're going to be able to get a very strong board presence coming out while still being able to recover. And the Chaos mode going in there to be able to set up for some very powerful Dead or Alives later, especially if you hit them out of security. So we're going to go ahead and actually just play a Dead or Alive right here. Going to tap the Mimi to gain an extra memory, but the Chaos mode is going to come out. Going to be able to pop the Cherubimon, but I guess there are no cards in the trash to be played because they didn't hit any rookies in the back, and they also were Digivolving on top of the Koichi that they played earlier. So the Cherubimon goes down and not getting much value, and that's pretty unfortunate. They were able to bring the Kari back, and they popped the scatter mode, but that brought out a couple Eismons, and then the Cherubimon going down without getting any resources out. We did trash 2 of them, which meant that there are 3 Cherubimon in the trash right now. They did grab the mat, which means they have the ability to play something to get one of those Cherubimon back, so at least they have it for the late game. Gonna go ahead and play Blinding Ray here. They tapped the Mimi on the first one, and then they're gonna tap the Kari here, going up to 4. So now if they want to play the mat, they could do it without passing turn and also gaining some more value by playing something else. But they are gonna play the Bokomon going down to 1, gonna be able to grab a hybrid and a Kari there. Now, with the 2 Bokomon out, they could play a hybrid to go ahead and Digivolve and actually just gain a net of +2 memory thanks to those Bokomons, but they could also just play their mat out here. Your opponent's going to go to 3 anyway, and so since you were at 1, you were going to be able to just put them at 3, but we're going to go ahead and see the Kaiser Leomon come out here. Going to go up to 3 thanks to the double Bokomon gaining you 4 memory, even though you only paid 2, so Bokomon stacking up is something that's very powerful. Whenever you can get a multitude of Bokomon out, being able to just extend your turns by Digivolving up, cycling, get a Digimon on board, it's very powerful. So we're going to go ahead and play another Kari here, a card that's going to be pretty good in this matchup because your opponent's going to need to be able to swing in. You're going to be able to lower their plays. The Mimi and the Karis are very disruptive cards. There's not very many cards that are going to be able to gain memory on your opponent's turn, and both of these are going to be one of those. And then they played the mat out to go ahead and grab back that Cherubi, but scatter mode's going to come out here, going to be able to draw and discard a lot of cards here. Let's see if some Eismons come out and put a lot of pressure on the board. First discard is going to be the Neo Devi, so not hitting the Eismons yet. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't just pitch those right away, get them out on the board. You could potentially Digivolve on top of them with something like that Neo Devimon if you wanted to. Neo Devimon is a card that could have been relatively strong in this matchup because how many Tamers are being played in this deck, but with how many Tamers your opponent already has on the board, they don't even really need to play that many Tamers because they're already kind of set up. So if you play it, it's going to be a lot easier for them to play around. So I do respect them being able to discard that there. Going to go for the Jack Raid here. Already sitting at 20 or more cards in trash, so going to be able to gain 2 memory off of there. Looks like the purple on the right is making sure that they didn't have their Tamers tapped. They did tap the Mimi off of the Schwartz that they played, and then the Kari off of the Blinding Ray. And then the second Kari is suspended off of the Eismon swing that went in there. So just making sure all the Tamers were good there. Koichi going to be able to come out, draw, discard. These players are not afraid to go ahead and discard these Cherubimons into trash. I think that's the 4th Cherubimon that's been put into the trash here. But now we're going to have these shorts come out. It's going to be able to delete 2 thanks to the 2 Tamers on the board. We're going to go ahead and leave one of the Bokomon on the board, which I don't think will be too big of a deal. You did put them at 7, 6 with the Schwartz, and then the Koichi Inheritable is going to give them 1 to put them up to 7. So they already have so much memory to work with that I think the Bokomon Digivolving for free doesn't matter too much. They are Digivolving there, but forgetting to be able to gain the memory off the Bokomon, so that's a bit of a mistake, but they did fix it right there. Okay, I was about to say that's kind of big. You definitely want to be able to get that Bokomon memory, even though I was saying they have enough memory to work with. You still definitely want to be utilizing your turn to the fullest, so gonna get that fixed here. Gonna go into the Cherubimon here, gonna get a tamer back from the trash, most likely gonna be Koichi, the tamer that you really want to be digivolving your hybrids on top of, as well as you're gonna be able to draw and discard, putting a Bushi in the trash, so once this Cherubi goes down, you will be able to get the power of Bushi's Rush. Now, think about what they want to do here. They probably are going to just attack in, I would assume. They're gonna swing in with the Bokomon. Good ordering here, because gonna hit the Schwartz, and the only thing going down is the Bokomon, so it did its job. Then we're going to see an analog come out, grabbing the Salamon. Now, finally getting a yellow rookie to put in the raising, and Salamon is probably the best choice there because you're already sitting at 2 security, so you're going to be able to recover there. Cherubimon swinging in very safely, so going to potentially be able to go in for another swing next turn because it is sticking around. This is a card that is going to be fairly hard for the opponent to get rid of. They're going to have to use the Chaos mode, and if they do get rid of the Cherubimon, we're going to see a multitude of rookies coming out. We got 4 Tamers right now, so a full 4 rookies could come out. We got the Bushis going in there now. There's also the Bokomon in there, so you could be able to search. So starting to set up very well. The first Cherubimon of this game for the player on the right was fairly weak, but now it's going to be fairly impactful. And actually, they have 5 Tamers. I did miss the analog right there, so even more powerful of a Cherubi on deletion. The player on the left not having very many Tamers out right now, so not going to be able to really have a good Cherubi if they do come out, but they do have the Lucamon side mode next to the Cherubimon, so they're not going full Cherubimon. They can go with the Dead or Alive Chaos mode, but I don't see how that's going to help you too much right here. You're sitting at 3 security. Your opponent could potentially swing in with the Boko and the Cherubi. If they do, that'll leave you at 1. They can then pop their own Cherubi with something like Calling of the Darkness or Darkness Claw, and then they'll be able to bring out the Bushi Agumons out there and be able to just go for game. And the Salamon coming out from the back too, so I'd imagine you'd probably want to swing with that first, try to get the recovery. Gonna be able to swing with the Upamon, hitting the Jack Raid, so that's actually going to shorten the turn and make it a little bit more scary. If you swing into another Jack Raid there and end your turn, that could be very bad, and you could just lose the game because you're looking at 1 security. Your opponent could swing the Gazimon and then just swing the Gabumon, and if you don't hit something to delete the rookie, then you are going down. But we are going to see the Death Clock coming out. Going to be able to gain the memory off both the Mimi and the Analog because they are not blocked by the Gazimon. They are Tamers, so they will be able to gain the memory there, be able to go up, and we'll see what they want to go for here. Going to be able to bring out, what is that, 2 Bushis, a Lucamon, and some Bokomon. So we're just going to go through the motions here, but I do believe this is just going to be game because of the Bushis, and then you have 2 memory to be able to go for a hybrid. So you're going to have to hit another Jack Raid, but we're going to swing in with the Bushi. Doesn't hit Deathclaw or Jack Raid, so the other Bushi is going to be able to go in, and then going to be able to just go in with the hybrid that we know it's there. Multiple Bokomons were hit, so just able to go in for game right there and take a very close game. It looked like the player on the right was falling a little bit behind early, but then was able to bring it back, having a very strong Cherubimon there at the end. So player on the left is definitely going to have to try to figure out how to bring it back here. Going to start off with just hard playing scatter mode. Going to give the opponent the ability to play out a Bokomon, hitting the mat and the hybrid. Going to be able to to potentially just choke them if they want to, but they decided to just play out the mat, don't get anything back from the trash, but now they can't be choked, and they're going to be able to have the ability to just always go to 3, and if they want to build a hybrid on top of there, they can now. Eismon scatter mode going down, which is going to allow for the chaos mode to go into trash, as well as the other Eismon to come out for free, and then the Lady Devi coming out, going to be able to draw and discard. Are we hitting another Eismon? We do hit another Eismon, so once again, going to be able to see the power of these Eismons. Being able to get them out is just so strong. Cherubimon coming out, going to bring back the mat that's discarded and pop the Bokomon, so Cherubimon already coming out. The Eismon hard play did give the opponent a lot of memory, but they were able to convert it into a Cherubi on board, as well as an Eismon, and swing into Dead or Alive, which is going to bring the chaos mode that was played in there in the trash, and that is absolutely insane. Actually, that was pretty much perfect. Matt is now gone. Don't need to worry about the Bushi, because the Bushi doesn't really threaten you right now. Getting rid of the Matt Tamer does make it so your opponent is now capable of being choked. Gonna go ahead and play the Boko, hit 4 Tamers and a Blinding Ray. Gonna choose the Matt since theirs was just gone down. The player on the left is playing Antilamon, but the player on the right is not, so they don't really have ways to bring back Tamers outside of the Cherubimon, so gonna be able to just play the Matt here, so that way you can just get it out there and not get choked. But the aggression coming out right now is insane. Swinging in, gonna hit the Schwartz. It's only able to pop the Lopmon or the Chaos mode here. Gonna decide to choose the Chaos mode, which is very interesting because then it could potentially get played out by the Dead or Alive once again, but also the Lopmon is a much easier target to get through, and then just going to be able to go in right there. So although the first game was very quick, that second game just went out super quickly. That discard was insane, and then hitting the Dead or Alive was just absolutely perfect, and it's very hard to play around that when you're able to get such a strong presence out on the board for free so quickly. But gonna go ahead and move on to game 3 here, tying it up 1-1. The player on the right is choosing to go first, which is very interesting to me. I feel like this is a deck definitely where you want to try to get those extra resources, but maybe they decided that they want to play a rushdown game. Don't want the opponent to go so aggressive once again. The Bokomon's a good resource tool, gonna be able to search out and hit the Cutemon in the back, which is gonna slow down things like Rihimon, but we saw in previous games where they were missing the yellow rookie in the back quite often, so being able to get that early aggression out is gonna be fine. The Cutemon is a card that does work versus these hybrid decks, but I don't think the player on the left is too worried about playing the Rihimon, just because they are more focused on playing things like the Lady Devi, the Antilamon, or the Neo Devimon, and now gonna be able to trash the Kari and the Chaos mode once again, so the Kari can come out with a Cherubimon next turn, and the Chaos mode, we saw the power of it. The Dead or Alive could come out at any point and really just be devastating, so with that being in trash, that's very scary. We'll have to see how the player on the right wants to play this. If they have something like Schwartz, they could play it to just get rid of the Lady Devimon, and as I say that, they are going to. That's just going to be able to get rid of some presence on the board, make it so they can't go into Cherubi next turn. They do get to draw 1, discard 1, getting rid of the Antilamon, so must have some more ultimates in hand because the Lady Devimon just went down and got rid of another ultimate. Gonna go scatter mode in the back with the Gabumon and the Demimeramon, so a very powerful stack, one that they really want to see often. And then the Gazimon's gonna come out. It's gonna be able to stop the Bokomon, but most likely the player on the right isn't looking to Digivolve on top of their mat right now. They're gonna want to be able to keep that Memory Tamer out there so they don't get choked and whatnot. And then we're going to play another Bokomon, so the Gazimon definitely putting in work right now because you're not going to be able to gain the 4 off of the 2 Bokomons, which we saw earlier be something very impactful game 1. Going to swing into the scatter mode right now, so now there's 1 in trash, which is going to mean that they could technically Digivolve on top of their scatter mode if they wanted to, because since there's 1 already in trash, they can start trashing cards and be able to get the Eismon's effect, but they are just going to go ahead and swing in, hit the Cherubimon, so they're going to be able to once again draw a lot of cards, discard a lot of cards. The Eismon scatter mode classic, especially with the Gabumon and the Demimera, so they're looking through the trash to see what they want to do here. Now they're going to hit their draw 2, discard 1, and then their draw 1, discard 1 with the Demimeramon, 2 Eismons already coming out, and then another Chaos mode going into the trash. So 2 Eismons getting played while also getting the security check with the scatter mode. This combo is just so deadly. We can really see why the Eismons are getting hit. It's just one of those cards that you can really see the power of it. It's very easy to set up. All you really need to do is have the cards in your hand, and when you have this much draw power, you're not really too worried about hitting them in your hand. Cherubimon going to come out, going to be able to hit 3 Tamers, which means 3 level 4 lower Digimon are going down. That's exactly what the player on the right had, so just a board clear while also able to bring back Matt, get a Memory Tamer out, and bring an Eismon back to the hand with Matt's effect. So once again, going to be able to trash that Eismon to play it out for free. So really setting up here. It's going to be very hard, I think, for the player on the right to come back. They're just starting to fall pretty far behind. The Gazimon shutting down memory is annoying. The Cherubimon being able to play rookies out next turn is also going to be very scary if they get rid of it. And then the Eismons in hand means that there's essentially a free card that's going to be able to come out with one of the many discard effects in this deck. Cherubimon coming out from the opponent's end, going to be able to play the Kari and clear the board out. That is going to help alleviate a lot of the pressure. I was just saying the player on the right might be in trouble, but that Cherubimon definitely comes and evens it out a little bit. The player on the left does have a little bit more tamers with those Karis, which are going to be able to disrupt the opponent's turn, but being able to get the Cherubimon out, being able to have it go down, you have multitude of rookies in the trash. You can play Nemons, Bokomons, Cutemons. If this Bushi Agumon goes down, you can play the Bushi, so we're going to go and play Koichi, be able to draw one, discard one. We saw the Aizmon return, so no reason not to pitch that, get on the board, get that extra aggression, potentially put an ultimate on top of it if they want to. I don't think they're playing the Ginkaku promote package on the left, so we're not going to be able to see something like that come out, but still a lot of powerful things that come out. We can see the Neo Devimon in hand. They're considering putting that on top of the Aizmon. Doing so would be pretty powerful. Unlike previously in the set where I said the Neo Devimon wouldn't be as powerful, the player on the right does not have as many tamers, so they'd be able to play it out. And by thinking about playing the Aizmons, they would have put the opponent to 3, which they're going to anyway. Instead decided to swing in with the Cherubi, going to be able to swing with the Kari to put the opponent at 1, and then they'll go to 3 with the Mat. And so basically you didn't get to develop, and you kind of gave your opponent 2 free memory in a way, but you did get a security check, and you have 3 Digimon on the board, or 2 on the board and 1 in the raising, which means that you could potentially just go for game next turn. So I do think it was a better play. The opponent's going to have a pretty hard time being able to clear off the board. They can trade the Cherubi, which would be fine, because they can play out a tamer or 2, trade, and then be able to bring out some rookies, but they're still just running a little bit low on security checks, and the opponent on the left having the multitude of rookies out there and possibly hybrids as well is going to be very good. Going to be able to hit Jack Raid and the 2 Karis tapped to be able to gain 4 memory, so that is very devastating right there. Essentially negated the blinding ray that just happened and putting the opponent in a pretty rough position. They didn't decide to trade into the Cherubi, so not wanting them to get them more rookies. They think that the rookies in the trash aren't going to be able to get them there, especially because with the Cherubi they could just bring back out the Gazimon, so even if you brought out your Bokomons, they would just be negated by the free Gazimon that comes out, so just had to go in for security, and it just didn't work out very well. The Jack Raid being very powerful, and then the Karis as well being one of the few cards that can really interact on your opponent's turn so powerfully, and that's why we see both the players playing it. And we're going to see the Death Clock coming out. Going to be able to pop the Cherubi to be able to pop the Aizmon, and going to be able to play out 2 rookies here. I'll see what they want to decide to play here. They could play the Bokomon, potentially Nemon, or they could play Bushi. Going to go with a Boko and a Bushi here. The on play, gonna see they hit a Kari and the Rihi or the Kaiser Leo. Think about which one they need. Going to decide to go with the Champion over the Rihi. I don't know if it matters too much just because you have 2 security. Your opponent has 2 Digimon. Schwartz coming out, going to be able to clear the board. That is just, this security is very stacked right now, and this just isn't working out very well for the player on the right. If the player on the left has a single hybrid, this game is likely just going to be over next turn. Went into the Kaiser, but that's not going to be able to do anything. Doesn't have the retaliation or do anything. Going to be able to swing in, swing the last check, and then just going to scoop it up because they can't do anything here. The player on the left, they're going to pass it over. They have no security to be able to save them. And then as we see, the player on the left has the 2 hybrids in hand to be able to just go for game no matter what. So man, that was a very long first game into a very quick one-sided second game, and then the third game, the player on the right started to fall very far behind, but then was able to catch up, but just a little bit too late to be able to make an impact. The security was also just very powerful. The Jack Raid into the Schwartz was something that made it so the player on the right essentially lost their win condition, but that is going to be this match, the Cherubi Mirror, one that we don't see super often, especially the player on the left playing the purple base when we usually see the yellow base, but going to be able to take it, having some very strong security with those Dead or Alives, Jack Raids, cards that you don't see in the yellow base, and we saw why they're so powerful and why they're played. But if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe because I'm going to be bringing you even more BT7 content. Now that I'm starting to feel better from my sickness, I will be back from uploads, so don't worry about that. We will be having a lot of matches coming up, but I hope you all have a great day. I'll catch you next time. Peace out.